Right now, in this very moment, you have a choice. You can choose to be offended by something someone said to you yesterday, or you can choose to love. You can choose to carry around the hurt from last week's argument, or you can choose to love. You can choose to let your ego dictate how you feel about what happened at work today, or you can choose to love. This choice, this simple but powerful choice, will change everything about how you experience life. Most people walk through their days collecting offenses like stamps in a collection book. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they get offended. Their spouse makes a comment they don't like and they get offended. Their boss doesn't appreciate their work and they get offended. A friend doesn't call them back right away and they get offended. They spend their precious life energy being upset about things that, in the grand scheme of the universe, mean absolutely nothing. But what if I told you that being offended is a choice? What if I told you that you never have to be offended again? What if I told you that the moment you stop choosing to be offended and start choosing to love, your entire life will transform in ways you never thought possible? When you choose to be offended, you are essentially saying that someone else has power over your emotional state. You are giving away your power to another person. You are saying, you get to decide how I feel today. Is that really how you want to live your life? Is that really the kind of power you want to give away? Think about it for a moment. When someone says something that offends you, what is really happening? They're sharing their perspective, their view of the world, based on their own experiences and beliefs. Their words come from their level of understanding, their conditioning, their pain, their fears. Their words have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So why do you choose to take it personally? The truth is, you can't be offended unless you agree to be offended. Offense is not something that happens to you, it's something you choose to participate in. When you understand this fundamental truth, you begin to see that you have been giving away your power your entire life, and you can choose to take it back right now. When you choose love instead of offense, you are operating from your highest self. Love is your natural state. Love is who you really are beneath all the programming and conditioning you've received throughout your life. When you choose love, you align yourself with the creative force of the universe. You become a magnet for good things to flow into your life. But choosing love doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you or accepting behavior that is harmful. Choosing love means responding from a place of strength rather than weakness. It means seeing people as they truly are, not as your ego wants to judge them. It means understanding that hurt people, and happy people want others to be happy too. So when someone treats you poorly, they are giving you information about where they are in their spiritual development. They are showing you their level of consciousness. You don't have to take their behavior personally because their behavior is about them, not about you. You can choose to respond with compassion instead of defensiveness. You can choose to send them love instead of anger. This doesn't mean you have to stay in toxic relationships or accept abuse. Love sometimes means walking away. Love sometimes means setting boundaries. But you can do these things from a place of love rather than from a place of offense and hurt. When you act from love, even your boundaries come from a different energy. They come from self-respect rather than self-defense. Many years ago, I learned a valuable lesson about the power of choosing love over offense. I was giving a lecture, and during the question and answer period, a man in the audience stood up and began attacking me personally. He criticized my work, my character, and even my appearance. The old me would have been deeply offended. The old me would have defended myself and probably attacked him back. But instead, I chose love. I looked at this man and I could see his pain. I could see his anger and his frustration with his own life. I realized that his attack on me had nothing to do with me and everything to do with his own suffering. So instead of being offended, I sent him love. I thanked him for his question and told him I could see he was hurting. I offered to speak with him privately after the lecture if he wanted to share what was really bothering him. The entire energy in the room shifted. Other audience members began to see what I was seeing. This man wasn't really angry at me, he was angry at life. He was in pain. After the lecture, he did come up to speak with me, and we had a beautiful conversation about his struggles with his marriage and his career. By choosing love instead of offense, I was able to help someone who was suffering, and I didn't have to carry around any negative energy from the encounter. This is what happens when you choose love. You become a healing presence in the world. You become someone who lifts others up rather than tears them down. You become a person who creates peace rather than conflict. But the benefits of choosing love over offense go far beyond helping others. When you stop being offended, you free up enormous amounts of energy that you can use for creative purposes. Think about how much energy you spend being upset about things people have said or done. Think about how much mental energy you use replaying conversations where someone offended you. Think about how much emotional energy you waste holding grudges and resentments. All of that energy could be used for creating the life you want. All of that energy could be channeled into your dreams and goals. All of that energy could be used for love, joy, and service to others. When you stop leaking energy through offense, you have so much more power available to you for positive creation. The people who achieve great things in life are not the people who spend their time being offended. They are the people who have learned to stay focused on what they want to create rather than what they want to resist. They understand that every moment spent being offended is a moment taken away from building something beautiful. When you choose love over offense, you also model a different way of being for others. You show them that it's possible to respond to negativity with positivity. You show them that it's possible to stay centered and peaceful even when others are trying to push your buttons. You become a teacher, whether you realize it or not, showing others a better way to live. Children especially learn from watching how the adults in their lives handle conflict and criticism. When you choose love over offense, you teach the young people in your life that they don't have to be victims of other people's behavior. You show them that they have the power to choose their response to any situation. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is that no one can make you feel anything without your permission. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." The same is true for offense. No one can offend you without your participation. This realization is incredibly liberating because it means you are not at the mercy of other people's words and actions. When you truly understand that you choose your emotional responses, you begin to see that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Every person who comes into your life, even the difficult ones, is giving you an opportunity to practice choosing love. Every challenging situation is a chance to grow stronger in your ability to remain centered and peaceful. Slow down. The ego loves to be offended because being offended makes the ego feel important. The ego says, "How dare they treat me that way? Don't they know who I am?" The ego wants to be right, to be respected, to be acknowledged. But the ego is not who you really are. You are so much more than your ego. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And spiritual beings don't need to be offended. When you identify with your ego, you will find offense everywhere because the ego is always looking for ways to feel separate and superior. But when you identify with your true self, your spiritual self, you realize that we are all connected. We are all one. When you see someone acting badly, you don't take it personally because you understand that their behavior comes from their disconnection from their true self. This understanding brings tremendous peace. Instead of walking through life with your defenses up, ready to be offended at any moment, you can walk through life with your heart open, ready to love at any moment. This is a completely different way of experiencing life. When your heart is open and you are choosing love, amazing things begin to happen. People are drawn to your energy. Opportunities appear that you never expected. Problems that seemed insurmountable begin to resolve themselves. This isn't magic. It's the natural result of aligning yourself with love, which is the creative force of the universe. Love is not just a feeling. Love is a decision. Love is a choice you make moment by moment. You can choose to love the person who cut you off in traffic by understanding that they might be having a difficult day or rushing to the hospital to see a sick relative. You can choose to love your difficult coworker by recognizing that their behavior comes from their own insecurities and fears. This doesn't mean you have to like everyone or agree with everyone. Love doesn't require agreement. Love doesn't require that you pretend bad behavior is good behavior. Love simply means that you respond from your highest self rather than from your ego's need to be right or to get revenge. When you choose love over offense, you begin to see that most of the things that used to bother you are really quite trivial. Someone's opinion of you becomes less important than your opinion of yourself. Someone's criticism becomes less significant than your commitment to your own growth. Someone's attempt to hurt you becomes an opportunity for you to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is perhaps the highest expression of choosing love over offense. When you forgive, you are not saying that what someone did was okay. You are not excusing their behavior or saying it was acceptable. You are simply choosing to release your attachment to the hurt they caused you. You are choosing to free yourself from the prison of resentment. Forgiveness is not something you do for the other person. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself. When you hold on to anger and resentment, you are the one who suffers. You are the one who carries the poison in your system. The person who hurt you has moved on with their life, but you are still replaying the incident over and over in your mind, keeping the pain alive. When you forgive, you set yourself free. You release yourself from the burden of carrying around negative emotions. You open up space in your heart for love, joy, and peace to enter. Forgiveness is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. But forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And it begins with the decision to choose love over offense. Every time someone does something that would normally offend you, you have an opportunity to practice forgiveness. You can choose to see their behavior as a call for love, rather than an attack on you. When people are acting badly, they are usually in pain. Happy, fulfilled people don't go around trying to hurt others. People who are connected to their true selves don't need to put others down to feel good about themselves. When someone is attacking you or trying to offend you, they are really saying, I'm hurting, and I don't know how to handle this pain. When you understand this, you can respond with compassion instead of defensiveness. You can send them love instead of anger. This doesn't mean you have to fix them or save them, but you can choose not to add to their pain by responding with more negativity. There's a beautiful story about the Buddha that illustrates this point perfectly. One day a man came up to the Buddha and began insulting him and calling him names. The Buddha listened calmly and then asked the man, if someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The man replied, it belongs to the person who offered it. The Buddha smiled and said, I don't accept your insults, so they remain with you. This is the power of choosing love over offense. When someone tries to give you their negative energy, you don't have to accept it. You can let it remain with them. You can choose to respond from love instead of reacting from ego. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. At first, it might take you hours or even days to shift from offense to love. But with practice, you can make this shift in minutes, then in seconds, and eventually, you won't even be tempted to be offended in the first place. You'll automatically respond from love, because that's who you've chosen to become. This transformation doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how others respond to you. When you consistently choose love over offense, people notice. They feel safer around you because they know you're not going to attack them if they make a mistake or say something wrong. They trust you more because they can see that you operate from a place of love rather than fear. Your relationships improve dramatically when you stop being offended. Instead of spending time arguing and defending yourself, you spend time understanding and connecting. Instead of trying to prove you're right, you focus on finding solutions that work for everyone. Instead of holding grudges, you practice forgiveness and move forward. Your work life changes too. When you stop taking things personally at work, you become more effective and productive. You don't waste energy on office politics and petty disagreements. You focus on doing your best work and helping your team succeed. You become known as someone who stays calm under pressure and brings out the best in others. Even your health improves when you choose love over offense. Medical research has shown that holding on to anger and resentment can contribute to heart disease, high blood pressure, and a weakened immune system. When you release these negative emotions and choose love instead, you literally become healthier and more vibrant. But perhaps the most profound change that occurs when you choose love over offense is the change in how you see yourself. When you're constantly being offended, you see yourself as a victim. You see yourself as someone who is at the mercy of other people's behavior. You feel powerless and frustrated much of the time. When you choose love, you recognize your own power. You see that you are the author of your own experience. You understand that you have the ability to choose your response to any situation. You feel empowered and peaceful because you know that no one can take away your inner peace unless you give them permission to do so. This sense of personal power is incredibly attractive to others. People want to be around people who are centered and peaceful. They want to learn from people who have mastered the art of choosing love over offense. You become a source of inspiration and strength for others who are still struggling with taking things personally. The ripple effects of choosing love over offense extend far beyond your personal life. When you consistently choose love, you contribute to the healing of the world. You add more love and less fear to the collective consciousness of humanity. You become part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Every time you choose love over offense, you are voting for the kind of world you want to live in. You are saying, I choose peace over conflict, love over fear, understanding over judgment. You are modeling for others what it looks like to live from your highest self. This is not always easy, especially in the beginning. Your ego will resist this change because being offended has been its way of feeling important and separate. Your ego will try to convince you that you're being weak or naive by choosing love. It will tell you that people will take advantage of you if you stop being defensive. But the opposite is true. When you choose love over offense, you become stronger, not weaker. You become more influential, not less influential. You become more respected, not less respected. People admire those who can remain calm and loving in the face of negativity because they know it takes great strength to do so. The key is to start small. Don't try to transform yourself overnight. Begin by noticing when you feel offended and asking yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Is this person's opinion or behavior really about me, or is it about them? Most of the time, you'll realize that it's not worth getting upset about. Practice responding to minor offenses with love and understanding. When someone is rude to you at the grocery store, choose to see them as someone who might be having a difficult day rather than as someone who is intentionally trying to hurt you. When a friend makes a thoughtless comment, choose to assume they didn't mean to be hurtful rather than assuming they were trying to offend you. As you practice with small situations, you'll build your capacity to handle bigger challenges with love. You'll develop what I like to call your love muscle. The stronger this muscle becomes, the easier it is to choose love, even in very difficult circumstances. Remember that choosing love over offense is not about being perfect. You will still feel hurt sometimes. You will still have moments when your ego wants to be offended. The difference is that you won't stay in that place. You'll recognize what's happening and you'll make a conscious choice to shift back to love as quickly as possible. This process of choosing love over offense is really about coming home to who you truly are. Underneath all the conditioning and programming you've received throughout your life, you are love. Love is not something you have to learn. It's something you have to remember. It's something you have to uncover by removing all the layers of fear and defensiveness that have covered it up. When you choose love consistently, you begin to experience what life is like when you live from your true nature. You feel peaceful most of the time. You feel connected to others rather than separate from them. You feel powerful in the best possible way because you know that your happiness and peace don't depend on how others treat you. This is true freedom. This is what it means to live without boundaries. When you're not limited by your need to be offended, when you're not constrained by your ego's demands to be right and respected, you can respond to life from a place of infinite possibility. You can see solutions where others see only problems. You can find opportunities where others see only obstacles. The world needs more people who choose love over offense. The world needs more people who respond to negativity with positivity, who meet anger with understanding, who answer hate with love. The world needs more people who refuse to participate in the cycle of hurt and revenge that keeps so many people trapped in suffering. You can be one of those people. You can make the choice right now to stop being offended and start being loving. You can decide that from this moment forward, you will respond to life from your highest self rather than from your wounded ego. You can choose to be a force for healing in the world rather than a force for division. This choice will change everything. It will change how you feel about yourself, how others relate to you, and how you experience life. It will open doors that you didn't even know existed. It will bring people into your life who share your commitment to love and growth. It will create opportunities for you to make a positive difference in ways you never imagined. But most importantly, choosing love over offense will bring you peace. And in a world that often seems chaotic and divided, peace is perhaps the greatest gift you can give yourself and others. When you are at peace, you become a source of peace for others. When you are loving, you inspire others to be more loving. When you choose understanding over judgment, you help create a more understanding world. The time is now. The choice is yours. You can continue to live a life where you are easily offended, where your peace depends on how others treat you, where you give your power away to anyone who says something you don't like. Or you can choose to live a life of love, where your peace comes from within, where you respond to challenges with wisdom and compassion, where you use your power to lift others up rather than tear them down. Choose love. Choose peace. Choose to be the person you were meant to be, free from the need to be offended, free to love unconditionally, free to live without boundaries. Your life and the lives of everyone you touch will never be the same. When you make this fundamental shift from offense to love, you begin to notice that your entire perception of reality changes. Colors seem brighter, food tastes better, music sounds more beautiful. This isn't just poetry or wishful thinking, it's the natural result of removing the filters of resentment and anger that have been clouding your vision of life. When you're not carrying around the weight of offense, you have more capacity to appreciate the beauty that surrounds you every single day. You start to see synchronicities and meaningful coincidences that you never noticed before. Opportunities present themselves at exactly the right time. The right people show up in your life when you need them most. This happens because when you're operating from love, you're in alignment with the flow of life rather than fighting against it. Think about the last time you were deeply offended by someone. How much time did you spend thinking about what happened? How many people did you tell the story to? How many hours of sleep did you lose replaying the incident in your mind? All of that mental and emotional energy was being used to keep the offense alive. When you choose love instead, that same energy becomes available for creativity, problem solving, and building the life you truly want. Many people believe that if they stop being offended, others will walk all over them. They think that taking offense is a form of self-protection, a way to maintain their dignity and self-respect. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of what dignity actually is. True dignity comes from knowing who you are and remaining true to your values regardless of how others behave. True self-respect comes from honoring your own worth, not from demanding that others honor it. When you base your self-respect on how others treat you, you become dependent on their approval and validation. Your sense of worth goes up and down based on external circumstances. But when you choose love over offense, you claim your inherent worth. You stop needing others to validate you because you validate yourself. This shift in perspective affects every area of your life in profound ways. Your parenting becomes more effective because you're teaching your children to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. Your leadership becomes more inspiring because people trust leaders who remain calm and centered under pressure. Your friendships become more authentic because you're not walking on eggshells, afraid of offending or being offended. The business world is particularly challenging when it comes to choosing love over offense. Competition, deadlines, and high stakes can create environments where people are quick to take things personally and even quicker to lash out at others. But the most successful business leaders are those who have learned to separate their ego from their work. They can receive criticism without being crushed, give feedback without attacking, and navigate conflicts without making them personal. When you operate from love in your professional life, you become known as someone who brings out the best in others. You become the person others come to for advice and guidance because they know you won't judge them or use their vulnerabilities against them. You become a catalyst for positive change in your workplace because you model a different way of being. The media and social networks have created a culture where being offended has become almost a hobby for some people. Every day there are new reasons to be outraged, new causes for offense, new opportunities to feel victimized by someone else's words or actions. But you don't have to participate in this culture of perpetual offense. You can choose to step out of the drama and focus on what you can control, which is your own response to life. When you stop consuming media that profits from your outrage, when you stop participating in conversations that are designed to make you angry, when you stop following social media accounts that consistently trigger negative emotions in you, you create space for more positive influences to enter your life. You can choose to fill your mind with content that inspires, educates, and uplifts, rather than content that divides, frightens, and offends. This doesn't mean burying your head in the sand or ignoring important issues. It means approaching challenges from a place of love and solution-focused thinking rather than from a place of anger and blame. You can work for positive change in the world without being constantly offended by the current state of things. In fact, you'll be much more effective when you're motivated by love for what could be rather than anger about what is. Consider how different your family relationships would be if no one ever took offense. Imagine holiday gatherings where disagreements are handled with respect and understanding rather than arguments and hurt feelings. Think about how much closer you could be to your relatives if you stopped keeping score of past slights and started focusing on the love that brought you together as a family in the first place. The same principle applies to your romantic relationships. How much energy do couples waste being offended by each other's words and actions? How many relationships end not because of major incompatibilities, but because of accumulated small offenses that were never resolved with love and understanding? When both partners choose love over offense, they create a safe space where they can be vulnerable, honest, and authentic with each other. Your relationship with money changes too. When you stop being offended, many people have a very emotional relationship with money, taking it personally when they don't have as much as they want, or when others have more than they do. They feel offended by the success of others, as if someone else's abundance somehow diminishes their own potential for prosperity. When you choose love over offense in your relationship with money, you can celebrate others' success, knowing that there is enough abundance for everyone. The aging process becomes more graceful when you're not constantly offended by the changes in your body and abilities. Instead of being angry about getting older, you can appreciate the wisdom and experience that comes with age. Instead of being offended by younger people who seem to have advantages you never had, you can enjoy mentoring and supporting them. Age becomes just another aspect of your human experience rather than a source of resentment and bitterness. Your relationship with your own mistakes and failures transforms when you stop being offended by your own imperfections. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy being angry at themselves for past decisions, missed opportunities, and personal shortcomings. This self-offense is just as damaging as being offended by others, perhaps even more so, because you can't escape from yourself. When you choose self-love over self-offense, you become your own best friend rather than your own worst enemy. You can acknowledge your mistakes without defining yourself by them. You can work on improving yourself without attacking yourself. You can set goals and standards for yourself without using shame and criticism as motivation. Physical health issues become easier to handle when you're not offended by your body's limitations or challenges. Instead of being angry at your body for getting sick or injured, you can work with it as a partner in healing. Instead of being offended by the natural aging process, you can honor your body for all the years of faithful service it has provided. This shift in attitude often contributes to better health outcomes because stress and negativity can interfere with the body's natural healing processes. Creativity expression flourishes when you're no longer afraid of criticism or rejection. Many people hold back their artistic gifts because they're afraid of being judged or offended by negative feedback. When you choose love over offense, you can share your creativity freely, knowing that not everyone will appreciate your work, and that's perfectly okay. You create for the joy of creating rather than for the approval of others. The spiritual dimension of choosing love over offense cannot be overlooked. Every major spiritual tradition teaches some version of this principle. Christianity teaches turning the other cheek. Buddhism teaches non-attachment to outcomes. Hinduism teaches seeing the divine in all beings. When you choose love over offense, you align yourself with these timeless spiritual truths, regardless of your specific religious beliefs. This alignment brings a sense of purpose and meaning that goes beyond personal satisfaction. You begin to see your life as part of something larger than yourself. Your choices matter not just for your own well-being, but for the well-being of all humanity. Every time you choose love over offense, you contribute to the healing of the world. The practice of choosing love over offense also develops your emotional intelligence and maturity. You become better at reading situations accurately, understanding people's motivations, and responding appropriately to different circumstances. You learn to distinguish between what requires action and what requires acceptance. You develop the wisdom to know when to speak up and when to remain silent. Most importantly, you discover that happiness is not dependent on external circumstances. When you stop being offended by life's inevitable challenges and disappointments, you find an inner source of joy that cannot be shaken by outside events. This is true freedom. The freedom that comes from knowing that your peace and happiness are entirely within your own control. The invitation is always there, moment by moment, to choose love over offense. Every interaction, every challenge, every disappointment is an opportunity to practice this higher way of being. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions or other people to change first. You can start right now with whatever situation you're facing by asking yourself one simple question: how can I respond to this with love?